Good morning, everybody. We are going to go ahead and get started. Happy new week to you. This is Amy Pepping. If you have not been on a Monday Mindset call with me, welcome. We collaborate on these Monday mornings, me and three other beautiful, wonderful, lovely women. And it's our goal to help you to open your mindset and further your life in many different aspects, and so many things come down to mindset. So I'm excited that you're here. We are going to talk today about perfection and comparison, and I am a full-time mom, full-time wife, full-time marketer, network marketer, and I just love to love, and I love to teach, and I love to help other people have breakthroughs. And perfectionism is something that was a huge breakthrough for me. It was a struggle of mine for as long as I can remember. And I didn't even realize that it was a struggle. I didn't even realize that it was kind of a fault. I didn't realize that it was such a weakness for me until I had a complete, total breakdown when I was in college. And I realized just how hurtful perfectionism was to my life. And so if that's you, if you've had moments of feeling like complete failure, complete loss of control because of perfectionism, I'm really excited for you to hear today and get something powerful out of this. So something that came down to today is, sorry, there's a random dog running through my yard. That's different. That came down to today, this is so near and dear to my heart, but I still had this hesitation with it. Like, what if it isn't good enough? What if it isn't perfect? And how ironic, right? Because that's perfectionism. And so I had to shift my mindset and say, no. Like, I'm good enough. I know about this topic. I've done so much studying, so much learning, so much reading about it. It is quality information, and I know somebody needs to hear it. So I want to start with something really simple. And I want you to think about a blank coloring page, whether it's just like a piece of paper with a character on it or flowers or a page in a coloring book. And somebody little, whether it's somebody currently in your life or maybe one of your children when they were little, and they sat down and they looked at a completed coloring page, and now they're going to complete theirs. And they start coloring, and they can't keep it inside the lines, or it's not as equal as the other one, or the color isn't as even. And they get so mad and so frustrated that they just give up. They throw their markers, they throw their crayons, whatever they were using, and they just give up and say, well, I can't do it as good as that one. Or they look at a coloring page and it's not very good. Maybe it's done by a 2-year-old and there's just color marks every which way and nothing inside the lines. And it's beautiful to that mom and dad who that's their child, but then this other child is looking at it and thinking, wow, I can do way better than that. They complete the coloring page and it's perfect. They stayed in all of the lines. Every piece of white is covered. And they look at that 2-year-old quote-unquote masterpiece of hodgepodge colors, and they look at theirs and they think, that's pretty perfect. Okay, so keep that example in your mind. We have it in our minds, just as human beings, that if Billy Bob over here can do XYZ, then I should be able to do XYZ. But we don't think about, maybe Billy Bob has been doing XYZ activity for hours upon hours a day for 30 years. Do you really think that you can just snap your fingers and be equally as good or even close to good at whatever Billy Bob is doing? Whether it's playing an instrument or creating an art piece or building a building, it doesn't matter what it is. We have this natural instinct to compare, and we don't have the natural instinct to think about that person's life and to think about how much work and how much effort, how much time they have spent learning that skill. We just think if they can do it, then I should be able to do it, right? And something that's so relevant for us today is social media. And social media, it doesn't matter the platform, it's a place for thoughts, it's a place for expressions, it's a place for creations. And you should be so happy and so proud of all the content that you put out there, but instead we so often just have complete doubt in ourselves, right? We have this doubt because we compare. Are people criticizing your content? No. You're criticizing your content. You're nitpicking it. You're breaking it apart. And I bet you so often it's because you got 12 likes on it and that girl over there got 34. And doesn't that sound so silly? But it is often our thought process. Our creation wasn't good enough, but Susie over here, hers is way better. And that's a comparison. And how does that comparison turn into perfectionism? Oh, I'm never going to have that. I'm never going to be as good as Susie. Susie's got this perfect life. All of her posts are so perfect. That's perfectionism. Some of us are perfectionists. Some of us aren't. But we all have tendencies of perfection in our minds. We all do. And especially when it comes to social media and to business, because it's so simple to compare. You compare yourself, they did better, and now mine is worthless. That's such a common thought. And maybe worthless isn't the word that you would use, but replace that with any negative word, and that's a very common thought. That's a comparison, and that's a tendency of perfectionism. Now, we all have goals, right? We have goals with social media. We have goals with business. And having them is so important, and we need to have them or we have no direction of where we're going in life. But more importantly, having those goals and keeping your blinders on, staying in your lane, and so much magical, brilliant, amazing, extraordinary things can happen. And a huge thing that we struggle with is celebrating other people's wins. Yeah, it can be, anybody can do a really surface level. Congratulations, I'm so happy for you. But you especially have to celebrate those people's wins when deep down you're feeling upset it wasn't you. You're jealous it was them and not you. That's comparison. I'm comparing myself. I wanted to be where they are. I wanted to have what they have, and they got it before I did. We have to embrace our own journey. Find joy in the journey. Embrace and love your imperfections. And that is so hard to do. That is so hard to do. You guys, when I was all through college and getting into corporate America before I started as an entrepreneur, I had this piece of just construction paper on my wall that said, embrace your imperfections because they allow you to learn. I had to read that every single day because in my mind, my imperfections were complete flaws. And I was so mad that I had them. We have to realize and understand and love that we are not good at everything. We aren't. Nobody is. You might look at somebody and think, oh, they're just good at everything. They're not. Everybody has flaws. Everyone has imperfections. You have to love that. If you were perfect, what fun would life be? You would never learn anything. You would never grow. You would never change. You would never have these accomplishments because you were just perfect. And it comes down, a lot of it, to expectation. We have expectations for ourselves. We have expectations for our life. We have expectations for our family. We have expectations for business, right? So let's look at business. We expect success if we work hard. And we expect a paycheck. If we follow the system, we expect this perfect success journey. Instead, we need to expect the hard work. We need to expect patience. We need to expect failure. We have to expect for others to be as good or better than us. We have to expect fear. We cannot expect fear of failure. We have to stop expecting perfect. We have to expect and visualize and envision our future. Expecting this future, it's this whole big picture. And then you have to fill in the gap of where you are today and that future that you are expecting, visualizing, and what's in the gap. Failure, fun, excitement, frustration, hard work, more failure, right? There's a lot that goes into that. And it cannot be a perfect journey. So talk about expect failure. You have to expect these failures. You have to fail forward. Think back to that coloring example. If your son or daughter was coloring to try and get their picture to be perfect, and they just threw in the markers and said, I can't do it because it's not perfect, I'm failing, would you just say, oh yeah, you're right? No, certainly hope not. You would encourage them to keep going. Encourage them that what you're doing is great, and what you're doing is yours, and what you're doing is beautiful. Not, oh, what you're doing, yeah, it's never going to be as good as that one. Because you know what, Sweet Pea, if you keep coloring and you keep working and you keep trying and you color 10 pictures every single day, someday it's going to be as good or better than that other picture you're comparing to. So we have to expect these failures to come. And the difference is failing or reaching a failure and giving up, or reaching a failure and failing forward. That's the only difference. It's so natural to have these expectations, and then we get into this comparison game, and we create this failure in our own lives that's not even real. We create this, in our mind, this really awesome Facebook post or Instagram post, and it's just going to be so good, and I poured my heart and soul into it, and it's the best one I've done in so long. You expect other people to think the same thing. And you expect other people to see this quote-unquote perfect post and love on it. And then you post it, and like 2 people like it, and nobody comments on it, and nobody shares it. You've created this expectation in your mind that has created a failure that's not even a failure. It's not. Social media makes comparison so much worse. So much worse. And you guys, I do it. I'm not saying I don't look at Facebook or Instagram and say, oh, that's so good. Or, oh my goodness, she had 300 likes. I would never get that. You know, you have these thoughts, and it's okay. It's okay to have these thoughts. It's learning how to identify and deal with them that's important, because comparison is never going to go away in anything in life. You're married, you compare your marriage to other marriages. You're a parent, you compare your parenting skills to other parents. You own a house, you compare your house to other people's houses. Everything. We're always trying to keep up with the Joneses instead of loving on ourselves. So 3 simple things when you're feeling this perfectionism urge, this comparison guilt, is identify and notice that you're doing it. Why are you doing it? If it's a post on social media, why are you comparing yourself to that person? Why? Identify the thought and ask yourself why. What attracts you to it? What about that makes you want it? And then you have to reject the thought, which is so hard to do. Because sometimes you just want to wallow in it and be like, oh, well, Susie is just so much better than me and she's perfect and I'm not. Identify it and reject it. And a piece of rejecting a comparison thought is being happy for that other person or that other thing, whatever you're comparing to. Let's use social media again. Let's say, Bobby over here has this, let's say she rank advances in her business. She's got this big post on social media about it, and everyone's congratulating her, and people are sharing it, and they're just so excited, like, wow, Susie, you did it. Like, that's so cool. We're so proud of you. And you look at it, and you're like, into the comment section, congrats, Susie, so happy for you. Are you really? Are you really happy for her? Are you comparing yourself to her as you write that comment? Congratulate her. Identify that I'm comparing myself to her. Why? Because I wish that was me. I'm sad that she is rank advancing and I'm not. And reject that. And then the third step is to replace that. So Susie rank advanced. It makes me happy for her, but I'm sad for myself because I wish that was me. And say it out loud and then throw it away. Write it down, crumple it up, throw it in the garbage. I'm happy for Susie, but I'm sad for me. But now I'm going to say I'm so happy for Susie, and I know that with my continued hard work and consistent action, I will get there too. Instead of having that jealousy and envy, you have to replace it. Add value to your life. If you're identifying this thought, you're rejecting that thought, if you're still not replacing it, you still have it in you. So you're comparing Susie's best to your worst and calling yourself a failure. That's what it's broken down to. Instead, celebrate Susie's success. Be happy for her. Take 2.7 seconds to be sad for yourself. And then say, I'm going to use Susie as motivation for myself. I'm going to be the next person to rank advance. Add value to your life from a comparison. So it sounds simple, right? Or maybe not at all. To adjust, to change. Perfection tendencies are always there, but we can learn to deal with them. We can learn to overcome things. It's the beautiful thing of life is we can always change. For somebody that knows me in the last, 3 or 4 years, they would not even recognize the person I was 10 years ago. I struggled that bad with perfectionism. But I worked on myself. I worked hard. And I learned to adjust and I learned to change. So I just want to go through a couple things with you here. Simple things like really simple things that you can do. And if you do them on a consistent basis, you'll see a shift in your life, I promise. So we've been talking a lot about social media, and it is a part of our lives, and it doesn't have to be a negative thing. You know, there's negativity on there, of course, and there's a lot of positivity, but it's all who you surround yourself with on the social platforms and what you do there. So one big thing I want you to keep in mind is stop the madness with social media. If you're scrolling through your feed and you're seeing tons of like negativity and just stuff you don't want to see, unfollow that person. If you're going on social media and you're like, you know, going to creep on Susie because she's just so much further in business than you and you want to see what she's doing, stop. If you're going on and creeping on an, you know, ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend because you just want to see this life that you know they're living is so perfect and you haven't dated anybody since them and they're married and have 2 kids and have this beautiful home, like stop. That's madness. And if you have to unplug for a day to just reset, then do it. Social media is a place where people showcase their best, not their worst. And we compare our worst moment, our worst day, our worst whatever, fill in the blank, to someone's best. And it brings out emotions. Have you ever heard that quote? I don't know who says it, but holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. That's comparison. You're having a bad day, and you're looking at people that maybe just had the best day of their life. And you're going to compare that? No. Don't do that. Stop the madness of social media. You have to understand and embrace and love and cherish your unique value. We're all here on earth for a purpose, on purpose, and we all have these beautiful talents and skills that we should be using every single day. And even if we do the same thing, most of us here listening are entrepreneurs. So we're all doing the same thing. We're all running a business, but guess what? None of us are the same people. Your experiences shape you. You should be proud of that. Your story is your story. Don't give up. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Don't give up even when you can't do it right. Especially in business, because guess what, guys? There's a lot of right ways to do things. Don't give up. Seems like the easy thing to do so often because Susie over there is totally killing it and she's been in business you've been in business way longer than she has. And it's just coming easy for her. In your eyes, you have no idea the blood, sweat, and tears that Susie went through to get that rank advancement. Don't give up even when you can't do it right. You have to encourage yourself. And maybe that's a real struggle for you. Find an accountability partner. Find somebody that can talk you out of your lowest lows and celebrate you on your highest highs. How many failures in life can you look back on and say, wow, thank goodness I didn't give up? How many failures can you look back on and say, wow, I gave up way too soon? Embrace those imperfections because they allow you to learn. I love the quote that people say, just fake it till you make it. I actually don't love it. I hate it. Don't fake it. Everyone's faking it. You have to realize that. I love that people don't air their dirty laundry on social media. I love that. I unfollow people that do. But then you have to remember that. Like, I'm happy people aren't airing their dirty laundry, but realize everybody has dirty laundry. Everybody has struggles. Everybody has weaknesses. You just don't see it on social media. And understand that that's a good thing. At the end of the day, done is better than perfect. Whatever your daily tasks are, whatever you're working on right now, completing it, accomplishing it, is better than perfect. One of my mentors, I love her dearly, and she says, perfectionism or perfecting is procrastinating. Absolutely 1,000% true. If you're waiting to do something until the timing is perfect, you'll wait till the day that you die. If you're waiting to publish something until it's perfect, it will never be published. If you're waiting for that perfect moment in time to do X, Y, Z, it will never happen. Stop focusing on perfect and focus on your value, your uniqueness. You may not feel like you are good enough, but you are good enough. There's always going to be somebody better than you. You should look up to that person and not envy that person. Challenge yourself. What does she do that's adding value to her life that I should be doing that I can add value to my life? What does he do on a daily basis that I don't do on a daily basis? He who has a life that I want. We're always going to compare. It's how you use those comparison thoughts, the fact that you're identifying them, you realize you're having it, reject the negative side of it, and replace it with positivity. I know it seems so simple, but it kind of really is. And start small. Don't start with some huge, massive comparison. Start small and do it every day. Is every comparison thought that comes into your mind going to be a simple one to replace? No. When you first start on this journey of overcoming perfectionism, are you going to be able to keep your blinders on the whole time? No. I still don't. You guys, I've been working on this for literally over a decade. I still have days. But guess what? It's a lot less days and it's a lot more moments. And it's those moments that I can say, all right, Amy, get real. Stop. And give yourself a compliment. I'm really happy for Susie. I'm really sad for myself. I'm going to kick my butt and get to work and do this so that I can be the next one after Susie. Maybe I'm going to message Susie and say, you know, that's so awesome. Congratulations. What do you feel like was the biggest activity that got you here? Or what was your daily routine that got you here? Or what was your morning motivation that got you here? Find the value in their life and add it to yours. Don't be the kid trying to color as, you know, the 2-year-old kid trying to color as good as the 14-year-old kid. And at the same time, don't be the 14-year-old kid that's looking at the 2-year-old coloring and saying, I can do way better than that. Because they're both equally as bad, as negative, and they're both very much perfectionism ways. That is all I have for you guys today. I hope you found some value. This recording will be posted in the Facebook group and also on YouTube, so if you would like it, certainly reach out to me. I am Amy Pepping on all social media platforms. You can find me. I hope you have a beautiful Monday and make the week a beautiful you. Bye, everybody.